Every level of sales rep explained. There are 7 levels of sales rep, and in this video, I'm gonna teach you exactly how to identify where you are. The first level is trash. The last level is you can park in the CEO's car spot and no one's gonna say a word. And I'm gonna tell you what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, and the core defining characteristics of what they do and don't do that makes them as good or as bad as they are. The other day, I was on YouTube kind of scrolling around. I saw a great video called 7 Levels of Rapper, okay, which we'll put over here. Right, which you can go watch that. I've fully blown stole this idea from them, so well done to them for being smarter than me. But here is the video. First level is trash. Can't hold a conversation, awkwardly stare into the Zoom camera, and just kind of sit there like Ricky Bobby, not knowing what to do with their hands, okay? These are the guys who thinks that sales management is going to be the key to them like making 6 figures. These are the guys that when you listen to a sales call, you're baffled as to the decisions that they're making, not only the execution, but you're just like, how does anyone decide to do that? It's confusing, hilarious, and overall tragic.
Can I kiss you?
One of the key defining characteristics is that they're awkward and they say that they get nervous on role plays, which is supposed to tell us that like they're actually better than what they seem to be. The type of person that'll spend $20,000 on a sales course from a guy that's been selling for like 3 months in one offer. What they don't do is they don't do anything that makes sense or any level of activity. These are just bad salespeople. These are people who aren't going to stick around for long. They're not going to be very good. If you're this guy and you're not brand new, sales might not be for you, man. And sometimes you just can't overcome the awkward. These are people, we don't want them on the team. I'm sure they're lovely human beings, but as a sales rep's concerned, they trash, all right? The second level of rep is bad reps, okay? Just straight up bad. This is the kind of person who's been in sales for like a year or two. They're having a crack, but they just haven't got it yet. So one of the things that defines them is that they're not really tracking the things that are gonna make them better. They're probably super interested in like objection handling and what to say when, you know? And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to parrot people that they see online who think that that will make them get better at sales, but they ultimately don't have the core fundamental understanding of what you need to do in order to take someone through that transition. Their questions are usually in training. Their questions are like hyper specific and somewhat terrifying.
When I bust a nut in my hand and I look at the semen in my hand, when does that become a baby?
You know, when somebody is facing east and they're like a buyer lead and they give me this objection halfway through, what do I say? And that to me tells you right there that they are bad at sales, because anyone who's half decent at sales, or even meh, which is our next one, is going to understand that like that's not a question that needs answering because it's so hyper specific to one individual instance. One of the things that they don't do is make sales, okay? And they're usually just people who just haven't got it yet. Doesn't mean they might not get it, but they just don't have it, and they're stuck in the minutia of sales, thinking that all this, if this, then that's, and all that kind of stuff are going to get them over the line, but they just don't understand the fundamentals of how to cross the line, how to get that conversation from A to B. Level number 3 is the meh sales rep. They're just meh. They're just whatever. They're like the filler. They're the, you know, sixth man down on the bench. This is usually the guy that blames the leads and doesn't actually do shit.
The leads are weak.
Right? And just handles laydowns and calls themselves a fucking unicorn. Like they were born on third base and they say they hit a triple. These guys usually float around from offer to offer, not super memorable, kind of in the background all the time. And they might have a good month and then they just switch off because it just... They had to muster everything for that. They're known for kind of ups and downs and like just riding highs. They always look for the next best thing, some sort of sales savior, which is going to help them break through, when in reality, they probably just need to really concentrate, knuckle down, and just try and figure out like what are the individual tiny, like low-hanging fruit things they can do better or that they can stop doing. If they would do really well to just look at data and fix one data point at a time, they'd probably go from meh to tolerable, which is the next one. That's what that person does. The next level, level 4, is tolerable. Now, this is the point where somebody usually becomes a sales coach. So like, this is what you're dealing with. Sales coaches usually, I was in sales for like 15 years before I coached. So But usually they sell, like in the high ticket space, especially, they sell like one thing, get a half decent result regardless of whether it was them or not, and then they decide to become a coach because they make more money being a coach. I made more money being a rep always than what I ever did being a coach. So Now their skill set, they're like usually these tolerable reps are fairly skilled, but like they don't do the other things that make you good. So like to me, if you can't ask for referrals, if you can't do follow-ups, if you can't have a high lead to sale, not just like show to sale, then like you're not good. You're tolerable at best. Doesn't mean you might not sound good on the phone. That's a totally different thing. But like you can sound good but still not make many sales.
I'm really busy, Seth.
No, look, I understand, Doctor. I'm really busy here myself. Look, we're gonna come back to you in 1 month with one idea and one idea only. If you like what we have to say, great. We'll do business. If not, worst case scenario, you're gonna hear yourself.
Right? Just because like you're everything about what you do sucks. So all you have is that one skill set. It's like a quarterback only being able to throw a ball. You're not a quarterback. Like you suck at being a quarterback. You just throw a ball good. Like that's enough for high school. It's not enough for college. Okay? Look at Tom Brady, didn't have anywhere near the strongest arm, had the best IQ, studied the hardest. That is the difference between like a great rep and a tolerable rep. It's like he had a tolerable skill set, but then he just outworked it and he did all the other things required, and that's how he became the GOAT. Okay? So they're usually memorizing word tracks, and they teach those same word tracks from their coaches, which is like, it's laughable because it doesn't actually help people, right? They become sales coaches, and, overall they're annoying. Okay, now you've got good reps, okay? It's hard for me to say that unless you're a full-time sales for 5 years that you're going to be good because you just haven't seen very much. Again, you can sound good, but being good is more than just saying, in the same way that being good is not just being able to throw a foosball good. The good reps, which is level number 5, are usually people who are pretty good on the phones.
That's great, Doc, if you want to miss yet another opportunity here and watch your colleagues get rich doing clinical trials, then don't buy a share and hang up the phone.
Well, hold on a second now. I didn't say that. I just want to talk about it.
Right? Like they're possible, but they do the basics of like referrals, follow-ups. They do their own outbound. They're usually middle to high end of the pack, right? And they're super consistent. And even like the Met reps, the tolerable reps might outpace them on random months. But if you look at the earnings over the year, the good rep out-earns the tolerable rep because, well, one, the tolerable reps out there are trying to find time to be a sales coach because they don't actually want to sell full-time, which the irony is incredible. Right? But they're just more consistent because they're doing all the things to be consistent. Now, the good rep is usually not patient enough in order to kind of dig into one thing at a time. That's reserved for like the top tier reps, which is 2 more. Okay. So the big thing is that they usually are impatient, both with themselves and with the prospects. And that causes them to focus on more than one problem at a time in their actual sales, which then makes it very difficult to become really, really good because you have to dial in things very individually. Okay. Level 6 is a great rep.
Your profit on a mere $6,000 investment would be upwards of $60,000. 4,000, that'd be 40,000 shares, John. Let me lock in that trade right now and get back to you with my secretary with an exact confirmation. Sound good, John? Great. Hey, John, thank you for your vote of confidence, and welcome to the Investors Center.
Now, this person can sell almost anything with very little notice. Okay, so they sell more on desire and emotion than what they do logistics and admin. All right, so and there's someone who does all of the things. So they are a fully blown one-man band. There's someone who's good on the phones. They're good at doing outreach. They're good at like when leads are down, figuring that out. They're good at turning 1 sale into 2, 2 sales into 4. They're good at turning 1 lead into 2, 2 leads into 4. Right? There's someone who is a top producer all of the time, not just in like one account, okay, or that one time, right, back in 1984, right? And they're usually experienced enough to where they will break through into that next tier, okay? And they're just a great person to have. They're not like a unicorn, right? They're not someone who's like,
wow, that's crazy.
Right? But they do all the same things. They're just not quite there with their skill set, usually just because of a time thing. Now, the last and final is level 7, which is park in the CEO's parking spot and no one says a word.
For your consideration, the Jericho.
This is what you want to be. I remember when I was a rep and I had the owner of the business come to me. It's a pretty big business. And they're like, hey, we would love you to do some training for the team. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. And they said, oh, no, we really need you to train. I go, no, I'm not doing that at all. What are you talking about? And they were like, why not? I was like, because I don't give a fuck about these people. I'm selling. It's a one-man band. This is me, one-on-one versus them. We're just not a team. And then I said, like, listen, if I make $2,000 per sale and I'm making about $100,000 a month right now, you have to pay me $2,000 an hour to train those people. And they were like, we're not doing that. And I was like, then go fuck yourself, mate. It's exactly what I said. Then go fuck yourself. I'm a commission-only closer. This is my job. This is my gig. I'm a fucking rogue unit. If you don't like it, I can go sell somewhere else. And they were like, no, you stay here, right? And I was like, sweet. Don't call me again. I'm busy. I'm making sales. And that sounds arrogant, but like it is. And when you're the best rep in a whole company, and when you're carrying them in terms of like, you know that you're the one, you're doing outbound, you're getting referrals, you're upselling people, cross-selling people, you have a higher close rate, higher show rate, right? When you do all these things, like you are the special one. And what that means is that they need to get in line because you don't need them to sell, they need you. You know what I mean? And so that's what it's like when you're the top rep. You can just walk around kind of doing whatever you want. No one wants you to leave. No one gives a fuck, right? So you can park in the CEO's spot and no one says a word. Okay, usually some things that define them is their calls are significantly shorter, right? Like 30 to 40 minutes instead of 60 to 90. And every call sounds like a laydown. So they're always being accused of
getting the best leads, right? And that's just a coping mechanism for fucking losers.
Right? The one thing they don't do is complain about the leads, because the one thing you've never heard Steph Curry do is, what do you think my points per game could be on this team? How many points per game do you think I could get? That's fucking Loserville. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that video. A little bit something different. Those are the 7 levels of sales rep. Where are you? Let me know down below. Are you a absolute trash rep? Or are you, can you park in the CEO's car spot? Let me know. Bye. Hey guys, what's up? Matt here. And I've noticed that a lot of you are not subscribed. So what I want you to do is like go over and hit the little subscription. It really helps the channel out. And if you like the kind of content that I do and you're like, hey, how can I get similar content but pay for it? Then I have a membership. You can go over and join that at any stage that you want. It's like $49 a month up to about $200 a month. And we do like live Q&As. We have a coaching call nearly every single day. And there's like well over 100 videos, and I upload like sort of private trainings and stuff that I do all the time. So if you want to check that out, go for it. Sign up through YouTube, cancel anytime, all that kind of good stuff.